Hey everybody, Jason here. So I'm heading out to Algonquin Park for a few days. I'm basically doing two trips in one. The first part of the trip, I'm going to be starting off at Algonquin Basecamp, where Chris is going to be showing me some of his complete outfitter packages, and he's also providing me with two canoes. Two canoes because I'm also meeting up with a friend, Christina, who's going to come out for the first couple days. We've never tripped together, but we've been in touch on and off for a couple years, and you know, we're both interested in canoe tripping, and as you know, I've mentioned in the past that it'd be great to have someone to trip with. So yeah, we're gonna give it a shot. So basically what we're doing is we're doing our own solo trip, if we can call it that, with our own canoe, our own tents, our own meals, but we're traveling together. So I think it's probably the smartest and best way to start off, because the thing is, canoe tripping can be, I don't want to say conflict causing, but it's interesting because you're stuck with someone for a long time. So if you're not good friends with someone, and even if you are good friends with someone, you know, sometimes you can get on each other's nerves. So by, you know, taking care of all of our stuff on our own and just tripping together, you know, just avoids any whatever, you know, I hate your food or whatever. So that's the first part of the trip. And then the second part of the trip I'm going to be doing on my own as a solo trip for a night or two, depending on what the weather is going to be like. Right now they're calling for rain on the later part of the trip, and rain hasn't stopped me in the past, but because it's the later part of the trip, who knows, I might feel like just packing it in and heading home. Yeah, so what, I've got about a 4-hour drive, and then I'll be arriving into the town of Canoe, and from there we'll head to access point 3, which is Magnetewan Lake. So after driving for about 5 hours, I arrived in the town of Canoe and Algonquin Basecamp, which is located right across the road from the park permit office. Arriving at Algonquin Basecamp, I was quickly greeted by Chris. From there, he showed me some of the gear he has available for his self-guided tours, and then orientated me on the canoes that I'd be bringing. Chris and Andrew took care of the canoe tie down, and then we were off.
It's a nice picnic site.
That's what I thought. So yeah, this trip, it's interesting trip, out for a few nights. I'm not alone. I've got a friend with me for the first couple nights, and then I'll be on my own. And we started off just checking out the full packages that Algonquin Basecamp offers. It's something that I've been asked about how to get started with canoe camping and stuff, and I've always recommended just to rent your gear, don't go through the big expense. So I knew Chris and Robin have full packages, and they're totally customizable. So I asked Chris to show me, and he wanted to set me up with all the gear and everything, but yeah, thanks Chris. But the thing is, I have all my gear, and I don't want to damage his or risk it. But we had a quick moment, and he showed me the types of stuff that he can offer, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and then boats. So instead of only using one tandem boat, I talked to Chris about letting us use two solo boats. So the one is actually a tandem. It's a Novacraft PAL, but it's ideal for getting out solo as well. You just turn the boat around, sit at the stern seat, but facing the other way. Nope, sit at the bow seat, turn it around, face the other way. And yeah, it's just a really nice shallow boat. It's about 11.5 inches deep and 34 inches wide. So yeah, it's good. The other one is a Soares River canoe. It's a solo, and it's deeper. It's like 13.5 inches deep, but narrower. Yeah, I can't remember how narrow right now. Thinking like 24 inches or something like that. Anyway, so narrower, and it is a bit tippier. I actually paddled it with a canoe paddle. It went fine. It's interesting because it's narrower, and especially at the ends, there's quite a V in the hull. So loading it, getting in and out of the canoe, it feels kind of tippy, but once you're in, it's quite stable and good. It tracks really good. Similar properties to like a kayak. It tracks well, but turning is a little bit difficult. The Soares River weighs in at only 33 pounds, which is pretty good, and the PAL weighs in at 50 pounds. So yeah, so we're also going to test out some paddles. Now they're my paddles, but just have a look at them. So I've got two different types of canoe paddles and two different types of kayak paddles, or double-bladed paddles. Basically, we're doing it kind of like 2 solo trips, but just together for the first 2 nights. Yeah, should be good. So anyway, rambling a bit, so I got things to do. It's already, I have no idea, but I'm guessing probably 6 o'clock, and getting kind of hungry, so yeah, get on with it. Okay, well, the trip's going pretty good. We've had really good weather, like nice clear skies. The evenings have been nice. Um, there's actually currently a fire ban in the park, so not able to have a fire, obviously, and it gets a bit buggy, in the evening and the mornings. So I'd say that's a bit of a downside, but the canoeing's going really well. It hasn't been, very windy or wavy. The two canoes we got from Chris are both handling really well. Yeah, I'm not getting as much filming as I normally do. It's a different sort of like dynamic, I'm a lot more used to just doing things on my own, and I know that when I'm with other people, people don't like having a camera pointed at them all the time, so I'm trying to be conscious of that and respectful of that and get some shots to kind of capture the trip, but not always have the camera pointing everywhere. But there's been, the weather's been good, so there's been good opportunity for shots. I think another thing on this trip that I'm learning is I have this kind of dilemma, because I want to be able to create videos that are quite dynamic and have good, visuals. So I bring in a fair amount of camera equipment. I need to reduce that because I have a big dry bag that is most of my personal gear, but then I have a duffel bag that's a camera bag, and there's no way that I can pack both. I'd put the food bag in the big dry bag as well. So on portages, it's getting to be a bit of a pain. There's no way that I can do it in one trip, so I always have to make the portage two. So I think that I'm gonna try to figure out a way to reduce what camera gear I bring in, and I'm gonna have to be really selective about that. I bring a zoom lens, and I also bring lights, just small compact lights, but the camera doesn't work well in low light conditions, so I bring those. The tripod, the camera. So I also have some other things for my time lapses, motorized slider and motorized like panning head. Those two things weigh a ton, and then I bring extra batteries for everything. So yeah, it's a lot of weight, a lot of bulk, so I think I'm gonna eliminate some things. I hardly use the lights. Spare batteries I'll probably leave behind, maybe pack a couple. I think I'm gonna not bring the motorized slide, but I'll bring the panning head. Yeah, so anyway, if you probably tell, super tired. We were up early this morning to head out. Like I said yesterday, we're basically doing like our own trips, but just hanging out together. So, we both pack up our tents, have our own canoes, and we wanted to get out and paddle before the wind picked up, and we had wicked conditions. So yeah, really, really nice. So yeah, now we're back on Magnetewan Lake for the second night, and it's a good campsite. It's going to have a lot of sun in a little while, so I think I'm going to set up a tarp just as a bit of shade. I'm trying to figure out a good spot for it and what type of shelter. I don't know if I'll do like a lean or a plow point or what. It's a lot of rock, so doing a plow point might be tricky. I'll have to check it out. It's also like really open, and so to run a ridge line will be a little bit tricky as well. So anyway, get some kind of shade system set up. So yeah, that'll be one of the next things. Anyhow, rambling again, so better get to it. So I've got this this other sill nylon tarp. I just usually just throw it at the bottom of my dry bag, and then when I want, I have it and I can whatever use it as a tarp. But I also like to just tie it up like a hammock. So I'm just taking care of that. Christina's off with her dog, just having a little hike through the bush. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna lie down and relax for a while. Do that? No, not yet. How easy is that?
It's easier with the Jetboil on it looks like. With the weight, it snaps in better.
Yeah. It's like it's safety, but it's tricky because it has the little things that you have to line up, little bumps, you know, and then, so, anyway. So, how'd you like the trip?
Amazing trip. Really good trip. Really happy with her. She behaved really well. She showed me that she can do it.
Yeah.
Her first portage.
I wasn't nervous about her coming, but like I haven't taken my own dogs, and so had a little bit of concern, but yeah, no, she was brilliant.
She was pretty bad on the way in, just she was so excited to be here. She was pulling and snapping around chasing things, and but after she became exhausted, she behaved very well.
Yeah. Yay, exhaustion. So, yeah, no, it was good, eh? So.
This morning, paddling out of Little Eagle was probably the highlight of my trip.
For sure.
It was so nice and so calm.
Yeah.
And easy paddling.
Yeah, yeah, and really pretty. Like, we're lucky. Don't get that kind of weather all the time.
Right.
But, yeah.
And she was behaving really well in the canoe too, so.
Yeah.
Confident paddling, I'd say, this morning. For me, with her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I still don't know if I'll bring one of mine out, but I'd like to. I miss them. Wish they were here, but...
I wish that I could go without her and go further and do more, but she's always with me.
Yeah. So what would you do differently from this trip? Anything? It went pretty smooth.
I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like last night's food hang kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It was up. It was kind of risky, but it was up. Tonight. Yeah, she's like,
yeah.
She's like, yeah, we could have done better.
Could have done better on that.
Yeah, but it was up. But
tonight's is perfect making up for it, though.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight's is awesome. So, yeah, but yeah, no, like I think the only thing for me is like the tarp worked, but it was still hot underneath. So maybe
I was surprised how much we put it up to have shade, but how the sun kind of baked the tarp, and the tarp was actually causing heat beneath it anyway. So.
Yeah. So I don't know, like part of me thinks to try, like that one was a 10 by 10. I have a larger one.
There was so much breeze coming underneath it, and it didn't really matter.
I know. Yeah, it just seemed to heat up underneath. But anyway, it was a
hot day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what, like, we think 29.
I have no idea, but it felt. And there's not a lot of shade here at like the peak of the day. Yeah. There wasn't many places to kind of get out of the sun, but.
Yeah. So you've asked me about the campsite. So we're on Magnetewan, and I've stayed, well, now here, and then another, this is the Lake Canoe, and I stayed at in May. But what do you think of the site?
Just with the dog and on a hot day, it was hard to get out of the sun.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's a nice site.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
It doesn't compare to the one on Little Eagle, though.
No, yeah, that
was a really nice site.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to say the lake, but yeah, Little Eagle. It was nice, but yeah, and this site is the southmost site on Magnetewan. Yeah. So now we're just getting ready for
Hungry.
dinner. So I don't know if I mentioned earlier in the video that there's a fire ban, so we're stuck with simple things.
Okay, if I could change something about the trip, it would be that there wasn't the fire ban, but
Yeah.
it just changes the trip.
Yep.
It changes how you're going to eat, when you're going to sleep. You kind of go to bed when it gets dark and get up when it becomes light. And
Yeah. Mosquitoes are a bit worse.
only for that little window in the evening,
Yeah.
but yeah, without the fire, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. Hard to keep them away.
Yeah.
That's
And
why you just go to bed when it's dark, because you can't really use your headlamps or lanterns or anything, because the bugs just come swarming. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to get out of just the expectation of what camping is too.
Mhm.
Was it last night or was it this morning that I mentioned, like, I kind of had that realization that going to, like, it was exciting going to the campsite. No fire.
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing,
can't
you know?
wait to sit by the fire and have a drink. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Still worth coming, though. It surprises me when people cancel their trips. It changes it, and it's always nicer to sit around the campfire, but it's still worth being out.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, like, well, even, like, what have we seen, really? Like, so the drive-in, we saw grouse, we saw deer. That was just the drive-in.
You
right?
saw 3, I saw 1.
Yeah. Then, like, lots of, like, squirrels and chipmunks and everything. Either a beaver or an otter last night. Too far to tell. Right? So,
I'm landing on otter.
Yeah, me too.
I was voting beaver at first until that last movement. I think it was an otter.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so...
Oh, and tons of, last night we had frogs everywhere, and a little mouse we saw when we were still up. And then in the middle of the night, it was like Sonic the Hedgehog went tearing past our tent, and it was clearly a little mouse running through. It was cute.
Yeah. Oh no, I think I put it out.
No.
Let's get this going again. But, yeah, no, it's been good. Trip's not over, but, anyhow.
Hoping for calm water in the morning.
Yeah.
It worries me seeing it a bit windy like this. I'm not a strong paddler, so getting stronger, but
I think, like I said, I think you're doing good. Like,
we had really good conditions, though, so
yeah.
I'm less intimidated now than I would have been yesterday, I guess.
But I think, like, everyone's intimidated. If you're not intimidated by big wind, you know, and the potential.
What about the little wind, though?
Well, if you're not intimidated by wind and waves, then
and I think it's been
you're lying.
A combination of realizing that other people actually do struggle too, as well as becoming a stronger paddler myself. That it is hard for everybody, and it wasn't just me. So
yeah, it's just getting used to the struggle.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, but it was fun. The portage today with my pack and the dog, and she listened really well, and it was really manageable, and made me optimistic that we could do that more often. And
Yep. Cool.
very cool. Good
Yeah.
trip, all in all, very good trip. Only thing I would have changed is to be able to have a fire, say right now, to be boiling water over the fire and having the smell and sound, and but I would do it again.
Yep. I will be.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyhow, so I think that we should focus on trying to get this to boil. It's kind of loud, so I'm gonna turn the camera and the mic
Start
off so
off.
that you don't just hear the jet oil
And the
screaming.
wind.
So, cool.
Yep, good trip.
Yeah.
Thanks.